The CIA units of study have been created for the Common Core. Join me, Sarah Collins, author of the CIA units of study, as I share the alignment of these units to the Common Core state standards. The publisher's criteria is referenced throughout this alignment presentation. Our materials are for all students. Students, including those who are behind, have extensive opportunities to encounter grade-level complex text. The scaffolds of Read Aloud, co-created charting, and partner talk enable all students to experience, rather than avoid, the complexity of the text. The farms often produced more than could be picked or sold. So that means there was so much that they couldn't pick it fast enough, or they couldn't sell it fast enough. So that means there's extra, right? Extra food. But if the Okies tried to help themselves to the surplus crop, or the extra crop left on the ground, the growers might pour oil on the food, strike a match, and set the crop on fire, hoping the Okies would move on to another town. John Steinbeck saw this happen several times and called it the saddest, bitterest thing of all. So Reds, you start. How did you feel when you read that that extra food was set on fire or covered in oil? Materials are provided for academic discussions.
So open up your book to where you wrote down your STEM. When the book said blank, I felt blank because blank. This helped me understand blank. And we're just going to do a go around, and I want you to read what you wrote there. And when someone reads, if you have something to add on to their thinking, go ahead and respond to what they said, okay? Who wants to start us off? Go ahead.
When the book said Daddy wanted a boy, but he got a long-legged girl with a wide mouth, red hair, and freckles, I felt mad because the dad should still love Billy Joe even if she is a girl. This helped me understand that the dad wanted a boy instead of Billy Joe.
Can somebody respond to his first?
I think the dad kind of didn't just want a boy because he wanted a boy, and he wanted a boy because a boy can do more stuff with a boy.
All tasks and questions are text-dependent and strongly focus on students gathering knowledge and insight from the text and outside sources. Materials give students extensive opportunities to write in response to sources. High-quality student samples are provided as guidance to teachers.
And I think the awesome message is if you really love something, never let it go. Because Marty was determined to keep Shiloh hidden from everybody else and to give up half of his food just to keep Shiloh okay.
Wow. Can you think of a word that you've been learning in class that describes that?
I think I have quite a few words that we've been learning in class that I put in there. One of them that we're about to learn about is determined.
Determined, good.
And we also we also kind of learned about like sacrifice, and it kind of describes that because Marty sacrificed a lot of his food just to keep Shiloh not hungry or thirsty or anything like that.
Our materials offer a range of text types and text levels that include both fiction and nonfiction. Shorter, challenging texts that elicit close reading and rereading are provided regularly at each grade. Extended full-length readings are also provided with opportunities for close reading. These texts serve as anchor texts. Additional materials aim to increase regular independent reading of texts that appeal to students' interests while developing their knowledge base and joy in reading. Designed for whole group, small group, and individual instruction, cultivate students' responsibility and independence. The gradual release model is at the foundation of this instructional design and is backed by the research of the National Reading Panel Report and the RAND Reading Study Group. We understand the evidence strongly suggests that children's listening comprehension outpaces reading comprehension until the middle school years. This is backed by research of the National Reading Panel Report, the RAND Reading Study Group, the meta-analysis by Strick and James, the Reading Rote by Scarborough, and the Simple View of Reading. We know that by reading a story or nonfiction selection aloud, teachers allow children to experience the written language without the burden of decoding, granting them access to content that they may not be able to read and understand themselves. We promote the belief that read aloud should supplement and enrich what students are able to read by themselves. Mem Fox tells us, if we are reading aloud always something that is more difficult than students can read themselves, when they come to that book later, or books like that, they will be able to read them, which is why even a 5th grade teacher should still be reading to children aloud. Our instructional design offers a coherent sequence of texts across grades 3 through 5. This sequence considers genres, text structures, topics, subjects, and themes. People often ask me how I select my books for the instructional read aloud, and I tell them that I know a strong read aloud book is one that is going to remain in students' mind long after reading. And so therefore, as I select text for read aloud, I'm mindful to select text for the elementary that will support students' understanding of classic literature read in middle and then high school. Above you'll see text selection for 6th grade, Children of the Dust Bowl and Out of the Dust. And these two selections support students' building of background knowledge in preparation for the Common Core State Standard title, The Grapes of Wrath, which is recommended for 11th grade. The scope and sequence across grade levels provides opportunities for students to build knowledge of important topics, including U.S. history. The publisher's criteria makes it clear. A great deal of the materials designed for the standards will, by necessity, be new. Our materials deepen instructor facility of literacy instruction. Katie Adams, a teacher in Edgewood, Washington, says, I love how the CIA approach has changed the way I read. I am so much more aware of the turning point and how it reveals the author's message. Jackie Gelston, teacher in South Whidbey, Washington, says, I have read the book Hatchet out loud for years, probably at least 9 times, and it hasn't been until reading with a CIA perspective that I found a deeper message in that book. Wow, it does wonders for my own thinking. Our materials have been developed and refined through actual testing in classrooms. Our results are with a wide range of students, including children in poverty. Our materials have been tested with diverse learners, including those who qualify for special education, ELL, and gifted programs. Erin Conklin, teacher in Mattawa, Washington, says, CIA addresses the needs of both my struggling students as well as my above grade level students. In just a few months, students of all levels make tremendous gains. Heidi Finley, a teacher who works with highly capable students in Lake Stevens, Washington, says, I just finished my second CIA unit of study with my students, and I have never had such great discussion about a book and the vocabulary with my students. My students are beginning to understand complex concepts like dark humor, metaphors, and foreshadowing. I am amazed at the connections my students make. Their thinking is so much deeper as a result of the CIA approach to reading. Student motivation has increased through collaboration, challenge, and competence. Julie Hosking, a teacher in Everett, Washington, says, I truly believe that using chapter books to teach reading is the best way for 5th graders to learn to love reading and build reading confidence. A year ago, I dived into teaching using the CIA approach, and I have never looked back.
CIA changed my life because whenever in 2nd grade I used to read small books, but now I read longer books to challenge myself, and every time I pay attention to the details instead of trying to speed through, because it helps me as a better reader, and it's also more interesting than reading the ones out of the other books that are just, you take tests on them every week, so it's better.
Why I like CIA is because it makes me read better, and it's way more interesting than the books that we usually have to read. CIA has helped me. I read bigger books now, but last year I didn't read any books at all. I didn't like books because I thought reading wasn't fun, but they've made it fun.
Last year, before we started doing CIA, my reading level was 3rd to 4th, and now it went to 4th to 8th. And when I read this book called The Red Pyramid, I didn't understand it much. When I reread it, I saw the minor details in it, and that happened after I finished reading the first CIA book we were reading as a class.